Hello, guys. Happy Thursday. How y'all doing? I pray that today has been amazing for you, and that all things are working together for the good today. So hey guys, how are y'all doing? Come on in the room, child. Come on in the room. Tonight is gonna be so good. One second, let me grab my other phone. It's gonna be so good. Whew. I'm super excited because it's gonna be so good. Hey, Ro. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all have had a good day. Hey, cousin. Yes, it's gonna be good tonight. It's good every time I'm with Carlton, but it's gonna be exceptionally different on tonight. Um, so anyhow, I'm excited. I'm excited. So y'all come on in. Please share my live. We're going to be discussing vulnerability tonight, which I'm so excited because as you all may or may not know, Vulnerability, The Art of Letting Go, my third book, it is going on pre-order next month. So, it's only befitting that we're talking about vulnerability tonight, right? So that's been my 2-year journey book. I feel like I'm still journeying. I feel like I'm still journaling, journeying through it. So, for sure. So yeah, it's only befitting tonight that was the topic that Carlton and I came up with. And I was like, well, I guess it's time to start talking about it. So yeah, the third book will be, pre-ordering next month. So, it's an amazing ride. I'm even more transparent about myself in that journey and just really in that space. And so I'm excited to see what you guys think. I know that y'all are going to be able to identify with it, men and women, because I do believe that we all struggle with some form of vulnerability, or us learning, or us really being able to get vulnerable and trusting ourselves. And so if you have even followed my journey at all, you will know that I am very type A. And hey, Jocelyn. And y'all, please share my live. Y'all know I'm like real type A, but God is delivering me from it. So, so letting go is for you, girl. Pray for your girl, honey. So Carlton's here, and he's gonna be on the hot seat first because we're doing the men version. I'm sorry. Hey, Carlton.
Hey, how's it going?
There you go. Doing good. Doing good. I was hurrying up, getting myself together. So y'all
Nah, that's all.
get the real tea tonight. Carlton and I didn't even talk. I texted him at 8. Was like, "You ready?"
I
I
know, all right.
said, "You ready?"
I'm ready. I'm ready. These lives have been super lit and so fun. As she mentioned, share the live, share. Somebody needs to hear what God has placed on both of our hearts tonight. Even though I know the topic is men and vulnerability, but
Mm.
then again, you're an expert as well. So tonight's gonna be good. Tonight's gonna be good.
Ooh, I'm tried and true. That's what I try to tell people. All of my books are tried and true. Hey, Tiffany, tried and true, honey. So hey, Lakeithia, y'all come on in the room because I'm telling y'all, I'm excited. And I heard up and through Carlton out there. I was like, we're gonna talk about the men and why they struggle with vulnerability. Hey, Joey.
Uh-huh.
Because and please, y'all, please make sure you drop your comments, ask your questions, engage with us. For sure, we want to make sure that you are walking away with a lot of different perspectives. A lot of different perspectives on relationships. Carlton and I, both of our hearts is to see people win at relationships
Right.
and really, really get the fulfillment out of them that they should be getting. Because a lot of us are in relationships, but we're not being fulfilled, we're actually being drained.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that has to do with us not properly going into relationships the right way. It
Right.
has everything to do with the setup. You know what I'm saying? The roof of the house doesn't matter if the base is trash. So, at the end of the day, if we're not going into relationships the right way, eventually we will either find ourselves single or, hey, Demetrius, or, broken again, starting
Mm-hmm.
over.
Right.
It is an inevitable cycle. So we want you to win the first time around, which is what really brought he and I together. Our purposes align in that way. And so I just bless God for him, and just so grateful for how he has just received a stranger, because we've never physically met. So super, super excited to still be with him this month. So anyhow, y'all share the live, tag somebody that you know gonna need to hear it, because I'm telling you right now, Lord, I'm telling you right now, Carlton about to speak for the men. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it. I'm telling you, I can't wait to hear it. So vulnerability. I was sharing. That's my third book, Vulnerability: The Art of Letting
Mm-hmm.
Go. It's going to be pre-ordering next month. I'm going to be a three-time author. Like, how crazy,
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so excited, and it's my journey to learning how to be vulnerable. Becoming vulnerable is a journey, and I think that people don't realize that. I know that I was not taught that coming up. These types of conversations were not had in my home. Transparency, vulnerability, we just heard tell the
Right.
truth, devil, you know what I'm saying, type
Mm-hmm.
conversation. But we never really talked about how emotions and feelings and the reasons that people reacted or acted a certain way, how that truly affected the relationship and the dynamic of the family. And so I had to do a lot of work, because I really wasn't prepared. You know what I'm saying? I was very ill prepared for relationships. And one of the things, I'm gonna kick it off real good, Carlton, because I was literally thinking about this today. So I'm sure, I think you liked my post. People have seen my post today about my dad and how I just affirmed him, and
Mm-hmm.
loved on him. And my dad is like that
Right.
typical, he the typical Scorpio who just like don't do nothing. Typical man, really. Don't do me. I don't need nothing. Like that typical, that typical thing y'all men do. Act like y'all don't want love, but y'all do. Uh, Act like y'all don't want to be thought of, but y'all do. That's that typical stuff that you do when you almost 60 years old. So,
Right.
anyhow, I literally was thinking, we always say stuff like this: pay attention to the way a man treats his mother, because that's going to tell you a lot about the way he treats the woman in his life. But I have never heard this until I had to
Mm.
for myself today. Pay attention to the way a woman treats her father, because that's how she's
Mm.
in her life.
I knew you were going there. I knew you were
And
going there.
when I think about the years, the seasons that me and my dad didn't have the best of relationship, and we bumped heads a lot. We're very much so alike. And in those seasons, when I think about how I treated my dad, that showed up in my relationship, in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? In
Wow.
all in my relationships. And so when I look at myself now as a whole woman, as a woman that is truly working on herself. Hey Heather, hey Miss Ken. Come on in, honey. Y'all shut alive, because this is what the rubber meets the road right here. So the question that I posed to Carlton, or the statement I made to Carlton, was: we always tell women to watch how a man treats his
Mm-hmm.
mother, because that tells you a lot about how he's going to treat the woman in his life. But we never say watch how
Mm-hmm.
the woman treats her father, because that tells you a lot about how she's going to treat the men in her life, which is
Mm-hmm.
very, 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 very true. And when I thought about, just me and God kind of dialoguing about that today, hey Jody, um, I thought about the way I treated my dad in the seasons that I did not um
understand him. You know, in the seasons when we just bumped heads, we didn't get along. You know, when you put us together, we were like too much alike. And and then I thought about the seasons when it all switched, when it was like the light bulb switched. And at 29 is when me and my dad really rekindled, and God gave us a second chance at love. I always say he gave us a second chance at love, and I've always loved him, but I didn't always have the respect for him that I should have had. I didn't always have the reverence for him that I should have had. And so, hey, Mr. Gibbs. So when I look at my relationships in those seasons, the same way I treated my father was the same way I treated men in my life, right? And now, as hey Terry, as the person that I am now, y'all please share the live. As the person that I am now, I am completely night and day different.
Mhm.
I affirm, I express, I explain, um, I give content and context to why I love you. You know what it is, like what it really, really is. Um, so Jody asked me, what caused that understanding about your dad? Literally, when I realized I needed him. So for a long time, I developed, here goes my vulnerability for the night. I
Mhm.
developed I don't need you spirit from a very young age. Um, and so I was like the typical Black woman that didn't know how to let a man be a man, didn't know how to affirm, and didn't know that sometimes the strength that I said I had was really more like an insecurity and a wall that I had up that I didn't want to allow love in, because I was afraid of the vulnerability. See, vulnerability makes you open to things. It makes you accessible to things. And at that point, somebody can hurt you and you know what I'm saying? Emotions can happen. And when you don't know how you're gonna manage a thing, you really try to protect it so much, because the truth is you don't know where we're going from here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know from here where I'm supposed to go. So I struggled with it. And so and I went through some moments of pain, disappointment, you know, moments when you keep your word all the time. I went through that season. And so that became a really big issue for me. Hey, Brenda, that became a really big issue for me, which showed up in my adult season. And it also spoke to my values, which is why I'm really, really big. Hey, Sandra Jackson, really big about keeping my word, because I can remember those seasons of disappointment when I felt like my parents didn't keep theirs. You know what I'm saying? And that really bothered me, especially from my dad. So going through those years of not really having him, and it wasn't that he wasn't present, it was that I wasn't open. So I want people to understand that there's a difference between someone being open and present. You know, I didn't allow him in. I was like, you didn't hurt me. I'm not dealing with that. I'm good on you, right? I'm not gonna let another person, another man hurt me like that, disappoint me like that. So I just shut down any way that I felt that you could. But what I didn't realize was that I was hurting myself, because there are a lot of things that I didn't learn and a lot of things that I missed because I did not. Oh wow, Dorian Gibbs said that sounds like my wife and her father. Yeah, there was a
Mhm.
lot of things
Mhm.
I didn't get, and knowledge that I didn't get to have from my dad in those real crucial years of my developing. And so it costed me a whole lot in relationships. It costed me a lot in the season even in which I was married. And and so that is what really brought home to me now at 33. You know, the word of God tells us to honor our father and mother that our days may be longer. And you know, once you begin to really heal and you work on yourself, you begin to see a lot of the errors of your own ways. That's the beauty of coming out of pain and finding purpose, is that it always introduces you to your greater self. And so for me, being introduced to my greater self, it made me say, you know what, I'm going to be intentional about the way I love, because God is intentional. If I'm going to be a true servant of God, and if I'm going to truly walk in his way, and if I'm truly going to try to do this thing the right way, I've got to do it the right way, the whole way, not part of the way. And so, if I'm ever going to learn, or if I'm ever going to sharpen my skills on how to love and how to love a man, the first man I should love is the man whose blood runs through my veins, and that would be my dad. And so, with that being said, I treat him like he's my man. I literally treat him like he's my man. We have some uncomfortable conversations at times, and I put him on the hot seat, and we get vulnerable, and it always makes him really uncomfortable sometimes, but I love it because I'm learning how to just listen with my heart. And so in that, it makes it easier for me in relationships now. You know what I'm saying? In how I treat people now, and how I show up in relationships now. And we're not always talking about romantic ones. Sometimes these are just friendships. Sometimes these are business relationships, because it affects it all. You know what I'm saying? It really affects it all. And it affects perspective. And so once I got the perspective that, the standard, we hold men to this standard, I held my dad to this really, really, really high standard, and it was so unfair, because I could let my mom slide with anything, you know what I'm saying? And so I realized that that type of thinking was unfair, and that the way that the way that I loved my dad was a direct reflection of the way that I would love the man that God would send to be in my life to cover me. Because of course, until you marry, your dad is your covering. You know what I'm saying? Your father is your covering. That's the person that should be teaching you about finances, driving, hunting, shooting a gun. All the boy stuff, you know what I'm saying? How to take care of your car, cut grass. Whatever that is, fishing. And so in learning that, you should also be able to learn how to love a man effectively. If you can't learn to love the first man that God ever gave you, whose blood runs through your veins, it's going to be really, really hard in your relationship for you to be able to love your husband that way. Dorian said, did you blame men for those areas that was affected since your father wasn't there to teach you? I did not blame men, but if I saw a inkling of past pain show up, like inconsistency, if you say something, if you said, Lauren, we're gonna go out, prime example, Carlton, you and I do this live on Thursdays. If I would have texted you and was like, hey, you ready? I feel like me texting you at 8 o'clock is not that big of a deal, because you and I have already discussed that every Thursday at 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time, this is what we're doing. Now, if you would have responded at 8:30, no, I can't make it, the old me would have reverted back to the broken default setting, which is, and that's why you can't trust a man to do something. This is why I don't trust folk. This is why I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket and trust that you're going to keep your word, because all of that would have triggered that issue. Now, truth could have been, you were in the hospital, or you had, God forbid, had gotten a wreck, or something emergency had happened. You missed the time and realized it, and that's when you responded, hey, I can't make it. But because my that brokenness that I hadn't worked on, if I would not have worked on that, my mind wouldn't even go to the fact that, wait, Carlton's been with me for 4 weeks consecutive. I don't have to worry if Carlton is going to be here. So if he's off one time, something had to have happened that's explainable. But when you are not at that mental state where you still are operating from that place of brokenness and that place of the little girl that still is disappointed, you automatically go to shutdown mode, and you automatically turn into I'm not gonna. That's why I don't trust no man, and that's why right there I don't put. And you go there to that negative connotation, and I had to realize that things happen to you like they happen to me. Things happen to you like they happen to me. And what measure of grace do I want to be given when I'm on the chopping block or when I drop the ball on something, right? And that is the mindset that I use now when operating with people. Is that, and God gets me together. Like, it's been a journey. He really gets me together, because there's moments when I'm like, I'm just not going to check on this person, or I'm just not going to say anything. And that's really not fair. That's real. You don't even know what this person is going through, why they're quiet, that's really not fair. And so I think that that type of energy that women give off, especially
Mhm.
women that struggle with that daddy issue, um, it makes it hard for men like you to get vulnerable with a woman like that. Does that make sense? You're not gonna get vulnerable with a boa constrictor or no anaconda, you know, but you'll get vulnerable with a soft pillow. And so that's what made me coin the statement that pay attention to the way a woman treats her father, because that is the way she's going to treat you as a man. So men, let me just go and tell you, if the woman you with, if that relationship with that dad is trash, don't expect it to be easy. I'm not saying that a person cannot change, or that they cannot evolve, or that they cannot grow, but do not expect easy love. That's gonna have to be dealt with in the dating season, because in the marriage it just magnifies and it intensifies, and it makes it really, really hard for you to show up as yourself, because in their mind you're showing up as their father. So like for me, I never liked to know what to do, because my dad was like the king of um, do what I said do. King, king of it. Like he would do stuff like oh, thanks, Dorian said it. I never heard that, it's hitting home. I never heard it either till today.
Mhm.
I didn't hear it till today from God while I was working. So it's my first time hearing it too.
Mhm.
Um, but my dad was the king of being in control. And like, even if you walked in a room and I could have said hey to you, if he walked in, he'd be like, "Did you say hey to Carlton?" Yes. Like, and that used to get on my nerves, because I used to be like, let me just do before you come asking. Like, I did not like being told what to do, right? But that's because I also didn't have respect for you. So see, that's why I always tell people, you have to pay attention to how people receive you, like the way they respond to you, because their response to you is their level of respect for you. That's their level of respect for you. So if they, start with this whole, you ain't gonna control me, you ain't gonna run me, look at that daddy. Look at that father-daughter setup. If it's not looking good, that's why she's like that. Because the truth is, she's still struggling from that past hurt that she hasn't gotten over. You dating a 7-year-old. Yeah, she may be 30, she may be 37, but you dating a 7-year-old, because a 7-year-old is walking around thinking that a man checking on her is controlling. You know what I'm saying? Because see, it's your daddy that puts a curfew on at the house. So if you got a problem with the curfew, if you don't respect the curfew, then you're not going to respect the fact that your man is checking on you because it's 4 a.m. You left at 10 p.m. Baby, it's 4 a.m. and you're still not home. And you don't see a problem with that? And because he ain't my man, you ain't my daddy. And the first thing broken women is say you ain't my daddy.
Right, right.
The truth is, you still mad with your daddy. And really, I am your daddy, because you're not seeing me as Carlton. You're seeing me as Michael Rhymes. That's my dad. So when I was dealing with that in my marriage, even times when my ex would try to say things and he would be right, I could not receive it because of my lack of respect for men, because of my lack of respect for my dad. So when that came across my mind today, I was like, oh my God. And we're talking about vulnerability today. No wonder men struggle with vulnerability. Because what man would ever want to get vulnerable with that kind of woman? But there's
Woman.
so many women that act just like that. Then the issue is they mad with that daddy. So women, as much as we say, look at how he treat his mama, men, look at how she treats her daddy. If she does not honor him, respect him, affirm him, love him, do not expect those things in your household, because they're not coming. They'll come with some work and some revelation and some counseling, but they ain't coming off GP. She ain't ready. She's not prepared. She's not the area. And see, for me, I was running from the daddy issue. I was out to prove that I was better than you. I was better than what you said. I was better than what you thought. It was again, it goes back to that thing, Carlton. Did you speak to Carlton after I'd already spoke already? It was like that same nag. You know what I'm saying? And that costed me. And so I didn't, it's so funny. My oldest son looks just like my father. They are twins. Oh, they are twins. Oh, Jody said that can pass down to a woman's son as well. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so funny because in the season in which I had my son, me and my dad still did not have a very good relationship. We was cool. Like, I love you. You love me. I mean, if you need something and you really, really need it, you can holler at me. But now my son looks exactly like him. It is his twin. I should have probably named him after him because they look identical. It's like when you put us together, it's like triplets. You know what I'm saying? And so, now life is completely different. You know what I'm saying? I love him so much, and I am very emotionally available when it comes to him. Share with him my whys, like even today when my brother FaceTimed him for me, and I realized that he was grieving, the loss of our cousin that he was very, very close to. My dad's 58, so it's getting to that point where, he like his friends and his cousins are like the same people. You know what I'm saying? So, when you start losing friends, they start dying. That stuff start bothering you. You're like, this person died, that person died. You know what I'm saying? It's like pieces of your history with them. And so I had my brother, go and get him an edible arrangement, send something to him, and FaceTime me so he could know. And God allowed me to just speak to the man in him and tell him it was okay to not be okay. You don't have to always be strong. You don't always have to say that you're fine when you are sobbing inside, just because you're a man. And that's why I made the post today. Can we make loving a Black man not a taboo type situation and stop expecting things from them? Like, can we just love you because you Carlton? Not because I love you, Carlton, because I know now you're going to be able to put me on. Like, no. Can I love you without expectation? Can I affirm you without getting nothing else from you? Like, I don't want your pockets. I don't want your money. I don't want anything for free from you other than to love you. And I believe that is a lost art for us. That is something that we don't do, something we do not talk about, something we do not post about. We ready to talk about how a daddy ain't being, but we're not talking about a daddy that is being, but not being seen as being. And we're not giving that man a chance. A man will always be his greatest self when he's with a woman that looks like favor. God's favor. That's why a man increases when he gets with the type of woman that can bring that type of intimacy to his life. Because a man is stronger when he's able to be vocal about where he emotionally stands. And that is why I spend my time dating my dad, because I'm single. So I date him. We go on dates. I take him out. I don't let him spend money. I foot the bill. I do things like that for my dad because his generation doesn't know that level of love. They know I'm daddy, I provide, I pay for everything, I do everything. They don't know that level of love. And it's sad. So mine is not gonna go to glory, not knowing that level of love. You know, if he um if a woman comes into my dad's life, because my parents are divorced and my dad has still been single, he's never remarried after 16 years, but I'm raising the bar for any woman that's coming to come into his life to love him. You know, and I tell him all the time, if the woman in your life, I don't care how much money she makes, if she don't understand how to intimately love you based on your love language, she ain't the one. Because your daughter raised the bar. Your daughter loves you at that level. So that way you're not settling for women that's calling the bosses, but they really are broken little girls, or calling themselves alphas, but they really broken women that's hiding behind strength and saying that stuff is strong. No, baby, you're not an alpha, because an alpha female woman knows how to, she knows how to hold and when to fold. She knows when to be strong and how to submit. And if you can't balance the both, then you ain't an alpha woman. If you got to start yelling, you can't control me, that's like red flags for there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's no different from me checking your temperature and you having a fever. That lets me know that there's a virus going on in your body. And that's the same thing with the way we treat our men. So I'm a huge advocate of Black men. I love Black men. I love loving on Black men. I love affirming Black men. I love supporting them without no other reason. Like, I'm not trying to sleep with you just because I affirmed you. I'm not trying to get your money just because just because I spoke a word into your life. No, I want to see you at your greatest self, because that affects our community. So so that's where we're at with that. So Delisa said, what if the woman is the opposite, open, nourishing, etc., but once pushed back emotionally by the man, she puts a guard up. Okay, so we'll talk about that, because he never receives what she says when she's soft, so she starts being hard. We definitely gonna talk about that. Dorian said, I was once emotionally vocal in the beginning, but now I can't tell my wife anything without being looked at as weak. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. So Carlson said all that to say this has got to, hopefully you feel, safe to be your most vulnerable self. And I have, set the tempo and the mood, darling.
Man,
Oh,
I
for
honestly,
sure.
man, that's a whole sermon right there. That's like hard to follow, man. Like you always tell me, drop your cash app,
So
because
my
that, yeah, drop your cash app, pin it in the comments. Nah, all of that was amazing. I mean, I feel like vulnerability for men, it does start with Christ, first and foremost, ultimately them being vulnerable with Christ. When we talk about relationships, again, vulnerability is ultimately a byproduct of our environment. So that goes along with what you were saying, where a man is not going to be vulnerable if he doesn't feel like he can be vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
just like if you're going over someone's house and you feel like, wow, this is a messy house, you're probably not going to make yourself at home and get comfortable and take your shoes off. You're like, whoa, it's a little junky in here. Hey, I don't know, bugs, whatever the case might be. You just don't feel comfortable. So I
Yeah.
feel like, for a man being vulnerable, it is a byproduct of the environment and also of the woman that he's dating and who he's with. And everything that you said kind of like is it really, really when it comes to vulnerability, it's like I can't be comfortable with being vulnerable if I don't feel like I can open up to you. Or as even like Dorian says, sometimes as men, we feel like opening up to certain women, that makes us look weak.
Mm,
And one of the things that I was going to tap into was how we define masculinity.
come on.
Because masculinity, if we look at it based on the culture, a man is taught from this high to be tough and to be the opposite of vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens to a man who's 30 years old, but for the 30 years of his life, he has taught to be the opposite of vulnerable. I
Crap.
remember my dad, would tell me, don't cry, stop crying, be a man, be tough.
Mine too.
So So right. So again, they come from the same cloth. So that's something that I grew up for the majority of my adult life believing. Be tough, be strong, don't show your emotions. And sometimes women see that too. And again, they don't that ultimately you can't expect a man to do something that he's never done before.
Mm-mm.
So if he's never been vulnerable, you can't, almost like you said, you can't love somebody on an expectation basis. So again, if I've never been vulnerable, you can't say, Carlton, be vulnerable. I've
Yeah.
never done it.
Yeah.
Because again, my whole entire life, I've been taught to be tough, or I thought masculine was being muscular and being, wearing certain clothing and being tough and being strong. But as I got older and as I developed a stronger relationship with Christ, I realized that masculinity is just being confident in who God created me to be.
Yeah.
That is the definition of masculinity. It's not necessarily how big I am, how muscular I am, what sports I play, how much money I have. My
Mhm.
masculinity is, am I comfortable in my own skin? So that's where vulnerability starts from a man's perspective, is
Yeah.
understanding the definition of masculinity. And ultimately, too, women have to understand the definition of masculinity, because sometimes it comes off as foreign to see a man express how he feels. Going
Mhm.
back to what you were saying about the relationship with, like mom and dad.
Mhm.
Sometimes if sometimes you don't see your dad being vulnerable,
Yeah.
because again, it's like, I don't have the space, or it's not like women are taught, like you said, it's almost like the culture is almost emphasizing, hey, look at a man's relationship with his mom to determine how he's going to treat you. But like you said, we need to place the same emphasis on a woman in her relationship with her dad, because again, if she's never seen her dad be vulnerable, how can you expect that woman to let her man be vulnerable
Correct.
when all she seen growing up was her dad being the man of the house and being tough and all of those things? So again, I think the vulnerability piece, like I said, I mean, everything you said, I think really, really summed it up. I think it starts with the environment. Like, again, does a man have the space to be vulnerable? That's really, after vulnerability with Christ, and
Yeah.
after that, then the next level to that is, can I be vulnerable and open with this woman? Because I've done that in relationships where I've been open and I've expressed my feelings.
Mhm.
And if you have someone, like you said, that is listening to respond and not listening to understand me,
Mhm.
someone's going to hear my feelings and say, well, you shouldn't feel like that, and I don't understand why you feel like that. Now I'm like, I'm not telling you how I feel anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Because when I express myself and how I feel, I'm looked at as being soft, I'm complaining, I'm not
Yeah.
the right one for you. This relationship, we're so quick to give up on the relationship because I expressed myself. That's what I'm supposed to do. But again, if you haven't had your dad in your life, or
Mhm.
if you haven't seen your dad be vulnerable, that looks foreign. Why is this man complaining about how he feels? That seems foreign. But
Yeah.
again, it's not even a man complaining about how he feels. He's expressing himself. And
Correct.
even if it is complaining, well, I gotta look and say, well, has this man ever had a chance to express himself? Because you can't expect a baby to run if a baby has never ran.
Correct.
So you can't just stand the baby up and say, hey, run over there, or hey, go get the controller off the table, if the baby's never done that before. So again, you got to understand, you got to look at where some men, what type of relationships that they've been in, and if they had the opportunity to be vulnerable. So I feel like when it comes to vulnerability, I feel like the main things why we are not vulnerable, I feel first and foremost, we haven't been vulnerable with Christ. The second thing is, it's a byproduct of our environment. Are we with a woman that we can be vulnerable with? Like,
Yeah.
truly be vulnerable with, to where if I express myself, I'm not going to get my head taken off. I'm dating someone who's listening to understand where I'm coming from. So
Right.
again, those are the two main things: vulnerability with Christ. Can I be vulnerable with the woman that I'm with? And have I ever had the opportunity to be vulnerable? Because a lot of men have not had the opportunity to be vulnerable, because again, that divide Christ and culture, the culture does not, they do not place an emphasis or make it acceptable for a man to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So again, those are the three things that I would really tap into. Those are the three reasons why I feel a man struggles with vulnerability. They haven't been vulnerable with Christ. They don't have the right environment to be vulnerable in. And again, vulnerability is something that they have not had an opportunity to do. So they don't even know where to start. So if a woman says, if you get with the right woman and they say, tell me how you feel, sometimes they're so used to being like, well, I'm cool. But it's like, no, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, how do you feel? And they're like, well, I've never had somebody ask me that or give me the platform to express how I feel emotionally or how I feel spiritually or how I feel mentally. I've always just been taught to, hey, as a man, you be a man, you don't cry, you tough, you stay strong, you're the man in the house, don't let nobody see you be weak. And that's something that I grew up for the majority of my adult life, you know, and again, it didn't really hit me until I say, give or take 2-3 years ago. I'm 34 years old. I'll be 35 in September. So for 30 years of my life, I've been walking around. I gotta be tough. I can't cry. I can't show no emotion. I just gotta, the only emotion I can show is when I'm angry. And that's not the only emotion that God has given me, right? It's just to be angry and to be fired up and to cuss and to swear. But again, there are other emotions that God has placed inside of all of us to express, but it's like we can't even express it in some relationships because, like you said, some women have had broken relationships with their fathers and it has carried on to their relationship. So now, like you said, it's a journey, right? Because now not only does a man have to learn how to be vulnerable after 30 years of not being vulnerable.
Correct.
A woman who has gone through a relationship with her dad, or maybe she was in a relationship with her dad until he left at age 10. She goes on and now she's 30. So for those last 20 years, she's been mad at her dad and she's dated other men and she's kind of reflected out on them. Now she's been through, my dad left me and I've been through 5 bad relationships.
Yeah.
Now that man gets with that person and now it's like a car that needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that's why, I've been emphasizing that liminal space. Enjoy the single season. Like you said, heal, just like you did. Just like if I were to say, hey, I can't make the live, your initial response is probably going to be, well, are you okay? What happened? Did something go on? But like you mentioned in the past, for some women, right? I remember one time in a relationship, I mentioned I had a headache. She said, hey, can I come over and spend time? I said, nah, babe, I'm like, can you come over a little bit later? I have a headache. That person's response was, oh, well, enjoy being who you with. I'll see you another time. So I'm like, did we just dismiss the fact that I had a headache? Like, did that just go over your head? Did that just go over your head? I said I had a headache, right? So I'm like, man, does my leg have to be amputated for you to say, oh, are you okay?
Correct.
I'm like, hey, can you come over a little bit later this evening because I have a headache? Oh, well, just enjoy. Never mind. I ain't going to worry about it. Just, go be who you with. So why would I even feel comfortable even saying I got a headache? I'm going to, even if I had a headache and that person said, how are you? I'm just going to say good. I'm not even going to say I have a headache. Because again, I just had an example right then and there where I expressed how I truly feel. Yep. And it just went right over that person's head. So that's why a lot of men are like, oh, I ain't being vulnerable. I told that woman I was hurt. I was frustrated. I didn't like the way, she was dressing when she went out to the club, or I didn't like, the fact that we don't spend too much time together now. And I think you tapped into it on a previous live to where it's like, my love language is quality time. And I'm not mad that you're getting home at 9 o'clock.
Right.
It's just that, man, I want to spend quality time with you. But again, someone who had let's say a bad relationship with their father, or didn't have a relationship with their father, or had a relationship where love language did not even exist, that person getting mad, it's going to come off as, well, that person is mad at me for working overtime and trying to get money. And it's like, no, you gotta take a look and say, well, he's just upset because we didn't get a chance to spend quality time, and that's that person's love language.
Yeah.
So again, we gotta learn how to pay attention to those things.
This is where I was going to go with that. I love the 3 keys that you gave us. But one key component that we're missing is trust. The reason that men struggle with vulnerability, and you're a man, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, is because a lot of them struggle with the ability to trust that everything's going to be okay when I get vulnerable. See, when you're not comfortable with hearing your own truth, that's why, like you said, being vulnerable with God first is so important, because vulnerability reveals truth. And it marries transparency and vulnerability. That's a marriage. Transparency and vulnerability are not the same. Being transparent, a transparent photo just means it's clear. I can hear with you about how I felt about you joining the live late, right? For example. But it's a different type of conversation when I can marry the clearness to what I felt. See, it doesn't matter how clear I am if you don't know the intensity of the situation. So
Right.
you may think, oh, that's nothing for Lauren. She knew I was coming. But you don't realize that it was a lot of times I waited on somebody to show up that didn't show up. And I was just waiting. And so your lack of communication is a trigger that's connected to that daddy issue, or that, that broken relationship, whatever it may be, issue where a person wasn't showing up for me. And to go back to Delisa's question or statement that she made about basically pouring your love out on a man that could not receive it, or who could not handle your vulnerability. A man that is not whole never will.
Right.
Because a cracked glass can't hold water. It don't matter how much you pour in that water, and pour in that glass. It don't matter how many times a day you pour in it. If there are leaks and cracks, it'll never be enough. That's why self-awareness is so important in relationships, because people that are not aware of who they are and how they show up in a relationship don't even realize that they're cracked. See, the cute things about cracks is that if you, depending on how the light hit, you'll never know that it's there. That's why vulnerability is so important, because he gives exposure. The reason the enemy does not like exposure, because that heals the wound. Once the air hits it, it heals a wound. Now, what God needs to help heal cuts and scrapes, he put it in the air. It's everywhere. But when a person is not healed, they cannot receive that level of love. They struggle with it. And so at that point, you've got to realize, am I loving them because I'm expecting this back? Or am I loving them because this is my love language? Or am I loving them because I'm trying to introduce them to something that they've never seen? And in a relationship, for a woman to, in order for us to submit and for us to feel safe, it has to be with a man that has first been self-aware with himself and who's okay with hearing his own truth. A man that struggles with hearing his own truth will always struggle to tell it to you. He will always struggle to tell you the truth. And you can stop me at any point that I'm incorrect, but I do believe that. And it goes the same thing for a woman. Women struggle with being vulnerable because we are taught as well by our mothers. You don't need a man. You ain't gotta deal with that. You ain't gotta put up with that. Woo, woo, woo. But we're not taught how to learn a man. See, I listen to words, and words mean a lot to me. Betty Wright said, I was learning my man while I was earning my man. Some of these words you young girls might not understand. And that song, No Pain, No Gain, people be singing stuff, they don't think about it. But what she was trying to tell us then was that you have to learn him. Learning him is intimacy. I was learning him while I was earning him, because as you are intimate with him, you will earn the vulnerable parts of him. But if you are not learning him, you will never earn his ability to be vulnerable with you. See, I know that your love language is not gifts, so I'm not going to love you from that space. But if I did not know that, I would be trying to, if I put it the cart before the horse, I'll be trying to earn you instead of learn you. And in culture is taught earn you. What is earn? A pain.
Wow.
Earning the pain.
Come on, come on.
And so
Hmm.
I earn you by
Hmm.
paying you. That's why so men sometimes think they gotta pay for everything. When me and my dad spent Father's Day together this year, and I told him I do not believe that a man should pay for everything. And I don't. If we go on our first date, okay, you can pay, but you're not gonna pay for every day. And there may be times that you decide, well, I want to pay for every date. That's fine. Because there are going to be other dates that ain't on the calendar. And I will have already set up and prepared a place, right? Prepared a
Hmm.
situation for you where you are treated as royalty, because a person that truly loves you should not only want to be the only person treated like royalty, they should want to give that back. That's the whole thing about seed sowing and harvest. So, but when you have a people that are emotionally immature and who are emotionally unavailable, they will not understand that. So when you look at the context of and y'all please share this live. I know it's blessing somebody because it's blessing
Hmm.
me. But when you look
Hmm.
at the context of how a woman loves, her first practice with it is with her father. Her first practice of love is with her father. So whatever that looks like, that is going to shape the way it looks for a very long time until somebody wakes up and realizes this is dysfunctional, this is not okay, I don't like this. And so for men, I have worked very hard, and this is when I love coaching men. This is when I do those intimacy coachings and those sessions of helping people get vulnerable. This is where the rubber meets the road for me, because I was a woman at one point that did not know how to allow a man to be vulnerable. So for God to flip that switch and allow me to be used for it is the most beautiful thing. But it goes back to what I was saying with the trust. When a man does not trust his truth, he will struggle. And I am praying and warring that our men, especially our black men, with an emphasis on our black men, that we begin to change the dynamic of what a man looks like and how a man shows up in relationships going forward. Because see, I'm pretty sure, Carlton, your dad and my dad are probably in that same age group.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they are. So anything in them 50s on up, they
Hmm.
believe uh they should pay for everything. They believe that if you coming for me, you must want something. Like I remember telling my dad, I was like, I don't want your money. I want what you can't put money on. And that's your truth, to tell me how it felt. Because I know how things felt from my perspective. But how did it feel from your perspective? And for you to feel safe that whatever you have to say, I'm not going to argue with, because it is your truth. I'm not going to tear it down because it was your truth. Demetria said I did grow up with my father. I
Hmm.
watched my brother. He was my father figure. Yes. And father figures, men that are around have that. Like in the season right before me and my dad really regained our relationship, like a close relationship, I had a mentor that was my boss. And my mentor is Jonathan Reynolds. So he's not on social media, but he knows this. We talk about it often. But he became like my dad. We were very, very close. We still are very, very close. Um, and so he really helped to grow me. But even then, that relationship started off very rocky, because he was very alpha male, like, but very direct, like, what you want? Like, it was like a hurt dog. What you want? Why you over here? What you want to do? Leave me alone. Go to your office and you let me know when you got some money, when you done did something, right? Because I'm in sales. And I was like, I can't work with him. Like, I'm not gonna be able to work with that personality at all. And I remember thinking we are never gonna work together. And my career skyrocketed because of him. I don't make I've Since he's been in my life, I have not made one career decision without consulting him first. Like, not one. Like, I literally won't make a decision about something without consulting him first. Like, that's how much respect I have for him. um, about my career. And I think that, but for me, I had to learn that the problem wasn't me. The problem were all the other bad relationships that came before me. And so that was the wall of the Black man that had been hurt, the Black man that had been mistreated, ridiculed, not respected as he should have been. And so when I came to the table being this Black woman, it was like, oh, you must be coming to do the same thing the last ones did. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he saw, and it's so funny because he and I talked about this the other day for his birthday, and it wasn't like he saw Save the Day in me. He saw Here It Goes Again. And I think that that's that a lot of Black men deal with, because we don't talk to our Black men about healing. Women talk all the time. Men, on the other hand, do not. And y'all don't talk, Carlton. I mean, you're probably one of the very rare few, but men don't be talking. So, and some of them say they don't talk because women don't listen.
I think that's very. I think no. I think that. I mean, that's very. I mean, I don't want to say that's true in every scenario, but that is a real thing. That is a real thing. I feel like I'm introverted.
Yeah.
Contrary to belief. I know beyond these bright lights, I'm talking my life away.
Correct.
But once you shut this thing off, I'm introverted as introverted can be.
Wow.
And I know as me as a person, I know that I'm only going to share what I feel someone is interested in hearing.
That's good.
So as men, for me, I'm only going to share if I'm having a conversation, just a general conversation, even
Mhm.
if it's something that I'm passionate about, even if it was about sports, or even if it was about the Bible, or if it was about a scripture,
Yeah.
and I sense somebody is tuning out, I'm stopping right there.
Mm.
I could be like, yeah, the word of God says this and this and this happened, and
Yeah.
what this means. And if I hear somebody tuning out, like, yeah, I feel you, yeah, I'm done. I'm no longer. It's over, right? And somebody
Yeah.
could be saying, well, nah, keep going, keep saying. You don't seem engaged. So
Mm.
for me, as a man, if I'm expressing myself
Yeah.
and you're in your phone,
Uh-huh.
or you're just okay, all right, you done, you done talking. To me, that's clearly you're waiting your turn. Like, okay, are you done? Like, you're
Yeah.
waiting your turn to say something versus actually listening to understand me. And the point that you made, and I think it's the take home for the night, to
Well,
actually, you got to learn somebody and not try to earn somebody. So, like you said, the culture, that's what it's about. It's earning somebody. How can I get this man to do certain things for
yeah.
me versus learning how can I be a safe space for that man to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And that's the biggest, and that's one of the biggest struggles with vulnerability. I would say that in the part that you mentioned about trust and truth, because sometimes people aren't vulnerable because there are certain things that they don't want to expose.
Yeah.
And I was talking with a client the other day. I said, most of us, if not all of us, have that little closet room to where it's like, oh, don't go in there. Cause it's a mess in there. Don't go in that room.
Correct.
Wait. Cause it's like, nah, it's junky in there. You got all
Yes.
this. You got this explanation, and nah, I haven't cleaned my room and X, Y, and Z. But that's because you don't trust. You don't like. I don't know what that room looks like, or I know what that room looks like, and if somebody sees it, they're going to judge me, or think something about me, or even to somebody who cares is going to say, man, you need to get that room together. I remember, like I said, even just looking at my own bedroom over time, like, man, there were certain things I seen in my room. I'm like, man, I gotta get this together. Like, why do I got all of these sweatshirts just laying right here? And it was funny because it's like we learn how to manage insecurity and we learn how to manage our truth versus deal with it. So again, in my room, I got, I got these hoodies everywhere, but they're folded nice. Versus me just saying, you know what, I need to make more room in my closet so I can hang them up.
Yeah.
But in order to make room to hang them up, guess what I had to do? I had to get rid of some things that were in my closet. So there are certain things that we got to get rid of in order to make room for. So again, we can't be vulnerable if insecurity, doubt, brokenness and all that stuff still is in here, we can't be vulnerable. There's not even enough room for our own vulnerability with God, because God is like, I'm going to expose your entire room, your entire house.
Yeah.
And there are going to be some things that you have to get rid of that you don't want to get rid of, or that you've been managing insecurities for 30 years of your life, and you're used to it.
Yes.
And God is like, and people don't want to be vulnerable with God because God is going to expose the insecurities, and they can no longer put that on a man, or they can no longer put that on a woman. It's almost like you got to deal with that. Say it again.
That's what he does in relationships. That's why I'll be like, why are people so quick to get in a relationship? You want to get exposed? Because see, relationships is the breeding ground for exposure. If you're not ready to go to the next level, don't get in a relationship. Don't get in one. And definitely don't get in no purpose connectful type one, connection one. Because going back to what you said that I liked, you said people that love you will be like, hey, you got to, I think you said love you. You have to get together. But a person that's your partner gonna say, hey, let's get in here and get it together. Together.
That's that part right there. That's it right there. And that's how you know that either you're in a relationship or, you're in something else. Entanglement, I was going to use the word entanglement, right? Because again, entanglement, people are going to look past those rooms like, I ain't worried about that room. I'm just trying to get to the bedroom. Or I'm just trying to get to your couch. I'm just trying to watch Netflix. But someone who truly loves you is going to say, look, man, we need to, not only do you need to figure it out, but the good relationships are like, nah, let's go handle this together. Let's go figure this thing out together. Let's go into this room together. I know it's not the best room. I know it's junky. I know it's cluttered. I know you might have stuff from 1995, but we gonna get rid of it together. Me, you, and God. And that's to me, that's a marriage beyond a relationship, because there's levels. There's entanglements. People don't care about the rooms. I just want to spend time. I want to Netflix and chill, do whatever. I just want to go to your bedroom, X, Y, and Z. That's an entanglement. A relationship, say it again.
They be trying to have sex on top of them clothes.
Exactly. And the thing about it is we're grown-ups, right? We can have that conversation. People don't even care. Hey, I got all those clothes on my bed. Oh, don't worry about it, because they're so deep in the flesh. Like, man, it could happen on the floor. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So again, that's what it comes down to. But then there's another level above entanglement. There's a relationship. Sometimes with relationships, it's going to be, hey, you need to get that together, or you need to figure this out, or man, you need to take time to clean that room, or you need to take time to do something else, right? A marriage, even though it might not necessarily be a physical marriage, I got a ring on your finger, I propose, but a marriage to me is two people that are going to get married or that are destined for marriage are going to say, hey, we're going to get in here to clean this together. Let's go through these old clothes. Let's go through these old boxes together. I'm not going to leave that to you. I'm going to get in the mud with you. And again, that goes back to even what you said, relationships, the first man that a woman grows to love is her father. I'll take it a level above that.
Come on.
The first relationship is the father.
Yeah.
And if you don't love God, you ain't gonna be able to love your father, your boo, your Boaz, and Tank, whatever. You ain't gonna be able to love nobody if you do not love God. So even deeper than the relationship with her father, how is your relationship with God?
Okay.
Because if your relationship with God ain't right, that's even a bigger red flag. She could have a decent relationship with her dad, but she ain't right with God.
Ooh, come on.
And that ain't. Then that's a like I said, that's a red flag right there. And it even goes the same thing for a man. If a man is not vulnerable with Christ or is okay with being open and exposing himself to Christ, he ain't gonna expose himself to you. He don't even want to do it with God, where it's like God is not going to judge you. God is here to help you. God is here to correct you. So if you're not even going to expose yourself with someone who's committed to exposing you, to elevate you, to correct you, you're not going to do that with a woman. You ain't even exposed yourself with God. And it works the same way also with women as well. If you are not right with God and you don't have a strong relationship with God, You're not going to give a man a safe space to be vulnerable, and a man is not going to feel comfortable with being vulnerable because, again, if he doesn't feel comfortable exposing his truth to God, he's not going to expose his truth to you. And if he trusts you more than he trusts God, that is a red flag too. I don't care if he trusts you or not. If he trusts you more than you trust God, that's a red flag. I've been in relationships where people told me I've been in relationships where people told me I put you momentarily above God.
Oh my.
Shocked me, right? Why?
Oh my.
Because again, it's interesting because again, it goes back to that earn you to learn you thing, right? So some people, like I felt in some relationships that I was in, the last relationship I was in, I feel this is what I feel it. This is what I feel happened. I felt like that person used God to get to me versus using me to get to him. Meaning, like, this person is going to demonstrate that they have a relationship with God to attract me, to earn me.
Yeah.
Versus getting to learn me and learn about my relationship with God and how can I go deeper to get to God.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes what happens in relationships. So again, you got to be vulnerable with God first. If you're not comfortable enough to expose yourself to God, you're not going to expose yourself to a man, woman, whoever. So again, the first relationship is the Father.
The Father. Come on.
Is the Father. You know, your Father, yes, he brought you into this world, but the Father created you in his image.
Come.
Before, mom and dad, laid together and did whatever, right? So what's your relationship with the Father? Because if it's not right or if it's not strong, you're not going to be vulnerable. You're not going to be a space to be vulnerable.
I think it goes back to this. So Chad Williams said relationship nowadays are more about leverage than getting to know the other person. And sometimes it goes, you're saying, if their relationship with God is only a relationship when they need something, then they're going to do that. They're going to call you when they need something.
Right. Exactly. And that's it right there, right? So again, so if they're only praying to God when they need something, what you think they're gonna do to you?
They're gonna pray on you when they need something.
Exactly. And it's a cycle. So and you'll see it. If they only call on God when they need something, they're probably only gonna call on their dad when they need something, and they only gonna call on you when they need something. But someone who has a relationship with God, and I'm spending time with God just because I love God and I want to get to learn God, not earn a blessing from God, but I want to learn God. And again, if I learn God, he's going to send me blessings in return anyway. So again, if a woman is trying to earn things from God, she's going to be trying to earn things from you. But if a woman is trying to learn God and study the word and learn more about God, then there's a chance that she will probably do the same thing with you, right? And the same thing with her father. Let me learn about my father. Let me learn what his favorite sports team is. Let me learn what he likes to do. Let me learn, like, man, I don't really get a chance to see my dad be vulnerable. So you, like you said, you might set the bar for your father to where it's like, man, my daughter asked me about how I feel mentally.
Come on.
My daughter asked me about how I feel spiritually.
Really?
Like, not like dad, like what's really going on? I know mom, you and mom just butt heads and y'all do what y'all do, but nah, dad, what's really going on? Like, what's really going on in here? And that not only sets the bar for him, but it also sets the bar for your relationship. So you go into relationships, and again, now you're saying, babe, how you feel mentally, how you feel spiritually, what's really going on? Not just the surface level, because sometimes people hit the surface level. Hey, how was your day? How was work? How's, what are you doing? WYD. The devil is a liar. To me, that's not somebody I can build with who's only going to go surface level. Because to me, it's deeper. Because again, if you ask me how's work, I can simply just say work is good, work is okay. But if it's like, say it again.
I can slide.
Yeah, I can just, work is cool, work is all right, right? But if somebody is truly like, yo, how do you really feel about this job? Is this truly where you want to be? Is the job, what's the environment? Like, how is it working from home? Right?
Yeah.
Those are things that's going to, now I have to kind of open up, right? You know what I mean? That type of thing. And I actually have to talk when somebody's asking me, how do you feel about your job? It's an open-ended question. So I have to say, I feel, good. I feel it was a little bit of a tough day. And you can't just leave it there.
Right.
It's almost like going one layer deeper. Well, why was it tough? So you got to learn how to ask questions. But somebody who truly cares wants to learn. It's just like a student. It's just like a student that goes to college. If you truly want to learn, because sometimes people go to school just to earn a degree.
Come on.
But some people go to school to learn, right?
Yeah.
So again, are you in school just to get that degree so you can get a six-figure income? Or are you in school to actually learn the trade, learn the business, learn about human resources or whatever you're studying, so that way you can actually apply it? So again, we got to do the same thing in relationships. I got to learn my man. I got to learn my woman. I got to learn what she likes, what she doesn't like, what her day is like, when she works, when she's off, what she like to do when she's off, right? I got to learn my woman so that way.
Most valued.
Exactly, right? So I'm valuing her because I'm learning the most about her. I'm learning the ins and outs and what makes her happy and what makes her smile, what makes her frustrated. So I'm learning those things. So now I can actually customize the things that I do for her, whether it's quality time, whether it is a gift, whether it is just, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you time to yourself. Yeah. Oh, but it's just paying attention, right? Yeah. But again, if I'm just in a relationship to earn something from her, if I'm just in a relationship to earn something from her, hey, I just want to spend time with her, or I just want to, lay up with her, things along those lines, I'm not going to learn. Mm-mm. So are you in a relationship to learn, or are you to earn something? So and that's the part, because the culture is going into relationships. What can I earn? What can I get? How many bags can I get? How many pair of heels can I get? How much money, when is he going to take me to Miami? Is he going to take me to Vegas? You're trying to earn something. And again, just like I mentioned in the live before, I think, or one of them, women sometimes use intimacy to get commitment, and sometimes men use commitment to get intimacy. So some women are trying to earn something from a man, so they're willing to pass their treasure to a man because of the trade-off. It's like, if I give this man my treasure, because I know that's what he wants.
Correct.
If I give him that treasure, oh man, he gonna take me to Miami. He gonna wine and dine me. He gonna buy me Christian Louboutins. I mean, I'm gonna have all kind of Louis bags because I gave him the treasure.
And you got music to go with it too, Carlton. They got songs out. The songs Rashida said, I put it on him so good it made him want to marry me. It's like,
right. Like I said, that's the divide between Christ and culture. That's the divide between, Christ and culture. We all know about the WAP song that just came out.
We're gonna
so again, that's the one right there. So again, that goes into that's not learning a man. No. You think WAP is gonna make a man vulnerable? Come on, we can be honest. Is WAP gonna make a man vulnerable?
Then you should have learned about your man 6 months ago.
Right. You know what I mean? And that's like I said, that's a whole topic in itself. But again, that earn versus learn, that's gonna be that's really where vulnerability is. Yes. Is if somebody is trying to earn something from me, then I don't have to in turn be vulnerable, because they're just trying to get something from me.
Yep.
They're just trying to get my money, my time, sex, whatever the case may be. I ain't got to open up. I ain't got to expose myself. I ain't got to do nothing. I can just literally just give them what they want. Hey, wine and dine them, buy them gifts, call them beautiful, X, Y, and Z, have sex, whatever the case might be. But that's just them earning that from me. They're not even learning about me.
Come on.
But someone who's focused on learning about me, they're not asking me for anything. They're not asking for gifts. They're not, saying, can you take me here? And I want to go here. They're actually sitting on the phone with me, or we're spending quality time together and we're talking about what's your purpose and where do you see yourself and do you want to preach? And
Come on.
that's how I know somebody's trying to learn about me and not just trying to get something from me. But that goes back to the relationship with God. If you're just going to God, God, please bless me with this house. God, bless me with this man. God, bring my edges back. The devil is a liar. If you're just going to God asking for those things, then that's going to carry over into every other relationship. But if you're spending time,
Come on.
right, right. But anyway, you got
Yes.
you got me going. But anyway,
That's
again, but if someone is going to God and
yes.
spending legit time with God, they're reading devotionals, they're studying the Word of God, and they're just like, God, I don't want nothing from you but to be in your presence.
Yes. Just where you are.
That's then that's going to transition into other relationships.
Absolutely.
That's going to happen to where now, you know what, I value a man's time, or I value learning about that person, even if it's, like I said, something as small as what's your favorite team. There are some women that been in relationships for months, they don't know their boyfriend's favorite team, or what kind of brand of clothing that they like, or their favorite food, and none of that stuff, because
No,
they're trying to earn, right? I'm
or
like, what would you cook? Like, what's your man's favorite meal? What are you gonna cook for him? Oh, I don't know. We always go out and get tacos. But his favorite food is lasagna. But you never made him lasagna because, again, you just want to be out on the town having margaritas and tacos. The devil is a liar. So again, vulnerability is on both sides. It's on both sides, and I'm telling the truth, Lauren.
I
You know I'm
am.
telling.
My cheeks are hurting from laughing.
Hey, nah, hey, this is it. Vulnerability. It's
I,
earn and learn. It's
I,
the it's are you trying to earn or are you trying to learn? That's where vulnerability really, that's the difference maker between it all.
I want to address a question that was asked by Markeisha Curtis. She said, "How do we create a safe space for a man to be vulnerable, especially if because of COVID they're breaking in isolation in certain areas of their life? But initially they were the more healthy one at start of dating, but now the polarities have changed in this world environment."
Uh-huh.
So that's the question, and I like it. I start. I start here. The word of God is like the manual on how to do relationships. And it is, it's the most central thing done at the right time. Hey, Rob, at the right time, darling. So, number one, for a man, how you bring things to him is very, very, very important, especially if you're going into battle and we're battling with um, isolation and maybe some mental emotional type things, and of course men do not talk as much as women do, right? So you kind of have to work with their mind, massage their head. Men love had a head massage. It's a reason for that. Women, they like that, right? Massage the brain. And so the way that a woman massages the brain is the same way Ruth came to Boaz. She came humble and soft
Mm-hmm.
and meek. The word of God says in the book of Proverbs that a soft tone turns away wrath. So when you
Mm-hmm.
ask those questions, you always ask you. If you notice my tone when I talk, even the way I've talked to Carlton tonight, my tone is at a certain level for a reason, because
Mm-hmm.
tone sets environment, and a woman is a thermostat. So depending on how you change it, how you change the
Mm-hmm.
environment, you can change your temperature. You can change the environment of the room. So when you come to him and you're like, darling, I've noticed these these things are going on, or I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you are pulling away from me, or I don't know where your heart is, or tell me your heart posture. When you start asking those questions, and
Mm-hmm.
initially men are going to be looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about? You know why? Because ain't nobody ever talked to them like that.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't because he don't like it. It's because he's trying to figure out, where did this come from? Because again,
Mm-hmm.
he's of a woman trying to earn him, not learn him.
There
Okay?
you go. There you go.
When you come to him, you want to come to him in a meek space, because you don't want him to be defensive, and you don't want him to be
Mm-hmm.
off either. You want him to be in a space where he knows that you're coming because you care, not because you're trying to figure out how to get him over whatever it is he's dealing with. Because sometimes, just like a woman just needs to vent, so do men need to vent too, and it's not personal, right? So when you come to him, you want to say things like, you always want to use the we's and the us's. You never want to
Right, right, right.
you never want to point him out, you know, at all. And you always want to know what are the differences that he wants. I know COVID's getting heavy for us. What different things do you wish we could see? Do you wish we could do different? That he wishes and he can't. And that's just bothering him because that's his favorite hobby. Well, baby, can you put a mask on and take him to Little Rock, Arkansas? Ain't nobody out there in Little Rock. And they got water and land and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to ask good questions. And sometimes, even initially, especially for older men, depending on what generation you're dealing with, their initial thing is to shut down because vulnerability makes them uncomfortable. Notice the tone of my voice shifts because it's all about the environment. It makes them very, very uncomfortable. So the first thing they do is the protective thing they've been taught, and that is to be defended and offensive. What do you mean is wrong with me? What do you mean?
Right.
That's the first level. But what you have to do is, when you go into having those types of conversations, you have to mentally prepare yourself that at no matter what happens, you don't change the level in which the temperature has been set. If he cold, he gonna put on a blanket, but he not touching the air in your house, because you're not gonna change. So you're not gonna elevate because he elevated. That's childish mindset.
Right.
You're trying to elevate him past the circumstance. So you can't be acting childish and petty. So you got to, and I know this helping a lot of women right here. So you got to come.
That's it.
You are meek about it. Hey, how are you feeling emotionally about COVID? What do you think about this? Hearing his heart. Hey, I want to know what's on your heart. I want to hear your heart. Tell me what it is that you are feeling. Sometimes I don't want to know what a man is thinking. I want to know what he's feeling. I want to know what he's feeling for a reason, because what he's feeling is going to alternate what he's thinking. And so
there you go.
I can marriage the two at that point. So I want to know, where can I step up and be of more help to you? Where do you need me most? You may think that he needs you more in the kitchen cooking, and honestly, he may need you to take him out for a walk and exercise with him. Or maybe he wants you to be able to come and do certain things with him that he enjoys. This goes back to that learning. See, when you learn him, then you understand what he enjoys. When you know what makes a man get up out the bed and really take control of his day, then you have the ability to be able to help him do just that. And one thing about women that I always tell women all the time, no matter how powerful a man is, there's always been a woman in the Bible that has brought him to his knees. So that lets you know some of the tougher vessels are not the ones that are yelling. Samson's hair didn't get cut because Jezebel was yelling. She was soft. She was meek. You have to pay attention. Everything is a learning curve, right? A learning experience. And what made him want to tell her his thoughts? The massaging of the mind. And when you can massage a man's mind and you can truly allow yourself vulnerability and softness, it works. And even in different cities right now, oh darling, that's even better. So that is when it really gets creative. We really get creative. First of all, if we're in different cities, there's several things. Me and my father in different cities, but an edible arrangement still came to his job that said, I just want you to know I'm thinking of you. I just want you to know, so you can FaceTime, or you know what, heck, you may just say, I'm coming. Because sometimes a man got to know that you're going to pull up. You're going to show up. Or let's pray tonight. That's the one. That's the one called tonight. Let's pray.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
The enemy is trying to mess with our minds. And you didn't say his mind. Because you're trying to don't say he.
That's it, Lauren. Come on.
Our minds. What you see, what you perceive as he may be perceiving as survival. We don't know. So, you always put the hour, and you begin to pray and cover. Tonight, I just want to cover you. Tonight, I just want to cover you. I called you tonight. You on my heart. I just want to cover you. And you begin to go to war with the enemy over the man that God has placed in your life. See, let me tell you about this. A level of intimacy. Intimacy is not sex. Intimacy has everything to do with being able to go to the Father on the behalf of the person that you love and you care about. And
That's vulnerability.
you can feel his energy. You can feel when it's heavy, when there's something going wrong, and he don't want to talk about it. You can feel it, because when you are connected to his heart, that's why heart posture and you knowing where it is so important. Because when you are connected to a man's heart, you can feel the weight that he carries. And when he is carrying a weight, you know how to speak directly to that thing because you feel it. A man will say he's okay because he don't want to feel it, but a woman feels everything. We feel, that's why we're so emotional beings. And men like, y'all so emotional. We feel everything. And when we feel a thing, then that means it is our job to attack the thing. So you begin to go into war spiritually. If we're apart, that's even better. That means you can't even turn the phone off, baby. You got to just sit here with this one. You got to sit, because I get so petty with the enemy. Babe, I've been sent you a voice memo just praying. No, he going to listen because he need to know what was said, because men are nosy. And they always want to know. And you can know when he listened, because that voice memo, when it go away, that means you listen to it. FYI, but I shout out. So, so when we give you that, when we put that voice memo, because see, sometimes it's something different. It's something, sometimes God will speak a thing, and then there's some moments God makes me write it, because it's something about putting it in the word and allowing him to be able to go back. But then sometimes a man needs to hear a voice. Sometimes it's a voice, it is a tone that he needs to hear. It's almost like worship. It's like the worship that God desires. There's a tone, right? And so when you bring that tone to the conversation and you let the enemy know that's not who you getting. I know who you wanted to get, but you may get a man, but it ain't gonna be my man, because I'm connected with the Father, and with me being connected to the Father, I'm connected to the heart of the man that he created. And that is how you earn.
Man, Lauren,
Drop
your cash app.
Drop your cash app.
Where's your cash app? Where's your cash app? That's a whole. I mean, I'm telling you, if the women that are listening that maybe single or maybe trying to learn their spouse, if they screen record and they really replay what you just said for the last 5 minutes, and they do that to a T, there are going to be so many brothers that are going to be so much more vulnerable. I mean, like, this is what's been on my heart, because even when you mentioned with praying, to me, it's like, I'm going to pray to God on your behalf. You'll be surprised how many men start to open up all of a sudden. We'll pray over my health because my chest has been tight, and they'll start opening up, saying stuff because they know you're going to God.
Come on.
So it's almost like a whole list. It's almost like a whole list of things. It's almost like, well, by the way, since you're talking to God, talk about my health, my finances, me playing a sport or whatever the case might be. Again, that whole piece right there, I'm telling you, I mean, if women take that to a T, what you just said for the last 5 minutes, there are going to be a lot more vulnerable men. I mean, everything that you said, but again, it goes back to our core theme for tonight, earn versus learn. Again, when you talk about tone, it's like, are you trying to earn authority with your tone? Because sometimes women yell because they want to earn, they want to feel like, I got the authority, I have the power, I'm in control, I'm winning the argument. Are you trying to earn a victory in this argument? Or are you trying to learn your spouse so you can know what to pray for? So like you said, the we and the us, we're a team. That's a marriage. In a relationship, it's like, hey, you do you, I do us, and we convene whenever. A marriage, or two people that's going to get married, it's we, it's us. Like you said, what can we do? This is our, this is our thing. That I'm telling you, that we, that 2-letter word changes everything.
Because
literally flipping the M to a W, it's upside down.
Yeah.
Literally flipping it upside down changes
everything. Me and we
Yes.
changes. So the gap is this big. It's this big,
Yes.
going from me to what can we do
Come on.
to change how you feel. Because like you said, you want to know what a man is thinking and feeling, because what he's feeling is dictating what he's thinking. So if you can change how he feels, it's going to
Yes.
change how he thinks. So if you're coming to him, like you said, in a soft tone, and
Mhm.
you're changing the way that he feels, and he's no longer angry about being in a pandemic and not being able to do the things that he was able to do, the fact that now he starts to feel better because you came to him with this soft tone and meekness
Yes.
and we and us. Now he's thinking something totally different. Now he's thinking, you know what?
That's my partner.
That's my partner.
Part.
That's her right there.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, man, I mean, women that are tuned in, she just gave y'all free game. This is free. I
And I-
don't know if it's in the vulnerability book or not, but
it,
she
it,
just gave y'all 5 minutes of
it
free
isn't.
game. I'm telling you, you approach a man like that, a Christian man,
Come
I'm
on.
telling you, that's going to change the game. He'll be vulnerable. He'll open up. He's going to be telling you things that he never told nobody else. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, he's going to start to tell you, man, you know what? I've been tough all my life because my granddad and my dad and my uncles. And now that person is starting to open up. But if you're trying to learn, you're like, I figured it out. The reason why he's so tough is because of his relationship. Put the earn down. Put
Yes.
aside. Stop trying to earn something from a man. Stop trying to earn something from him. Because if you learn, you're going to earn.
Come on.
Because if you learn about me, to me, I'm like, man, this woman really cares about me. So
Yeah.
you're going to, by default, earn my time, earn me paying attention to you, because I'm going to reciprocate what's going on. Because
Mhm.
they're in a marriage, or two people that are destined to be married, you're going to reciprocate what the other person is doing,
Yeah.
good or bad. Because if it's bad, this person don't let me open up. So when a woman wants to come and vent and be vulnerable, you're like, well, you don't give me the chance to vent, so why would I listen to you?
Correct.
Because you're reciprocating it. But if it's the other way around, if somebody is paying attention to me and asking me about how my day is, what I'm feeling, how the pandemic is impacting me,
Yeah.
what's next for your purpose, what are you doing next, like anything along those lines, or even talking to me about my lives, that's something that for me, like, my purpose. So if you're able to talk to me about my life or different points from it, oh my God, that like, man, that's man, I know I just gave somebody free game to me. But anyway, that's me being vulnerable right now. That's me being vulnerable.
But
That's
see,
me being vulnerable.
I set that environment up for you. I set it
You
up
set
so
it up. There you go. But
and
you
and
got you. That's it.
that's the sensuality. See, that's the softness of a woman, and you ain't got to
Mm-hmm.
half naked for all of that. All
Right.
you do is know how to come. It's very sensual. Humility is so sensual. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, Jay, one of the things I wanted to say to speak to women, to our Black women, don't matter the age group, is this right here. The sexiest thing you can say to a man before you end the conversation is, "What can I pray for you for tonight?"
Mm-hmm.
To
That's it.
what can I go to God for on your behalf? Because the woman is the intercessor of her home. The
Mm-hmm.
woman is the intercessor for her home. And if you don't know what you're supposed to be using them knees for, to know how to go to God
Mm-hmm.
for him on his behalf, then you are a liability to him, not an asset.
Right.
And so when a woman comes to a man in a place of soft, vulnerable meekness, it is like God coming down from where he reigns to be with him. Because when God comes to us, God does not come thrashing,
Mm-hmm.
lightning, bolts, and yelling about how stupid you were for the decision that you made when he told you to stay your tail out that inbox. See, that's not how God comes. God shows up in relationship with us as a partner. That's how he shows up. Even when Adam and Eve made the hideous mistake of eating the apple, when God knew what they had done, he said, show me yourself. That was vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when a woman comes to a man in a space, in a place where you are soft, where you are meek, where your tone is soft, it is almost as if God himself has taken time out of his day to come and see about your situation in particular. It's a different level of intimacy. See, when you at that level with a man, the last thing you learn about is another woman in his inbox. Because she couldn't get his attention if she paid for it. Because he's so engulfed in that segment, it ain't no WAP that can get you in.
I'll throw this in too. I'll throw this in for the fellas. The
Go.
word of God also says that a man should love his wife as Christ loved the church. You don't think Christ is praying for the church? So again, as men, we can pray too, because it goes back to that masculinity. Men, we're not off the hook. It's not, granted, everything you said, 100% I agree with.
Right. That is.
But we as men, we can end the conversation the same way. We can change the game too. That's what we can change the game as men.
Yes.
All right, babe, what can I pray for you tonight? Or what can I pray over you? Or, you know what, I'm going to leave a voice memo of praying for you. Hey, I'm praying for, even getting up early in the morning before she starts her day and saying, hey, you know what, I know you got a long work day ahead of you, but I'm praying that God gives you the strength. Man, see? That changes the game.
And declaring over my life, I'm going to sow the seed, darling, because I believe in seed sowing and heart.
Right, I'm telling you. So as men, to the men that are watching, we can do the same exact thing. We should be praying for each other, because the word of God says that we should love our wives the same way that Christ loves the church. And Christ prayed for the church. So we should be praying for our women as well. And again, I know a lot of Black women, hey, we're not protected and things along those lines. And it's our responsibility as Black men to make sure our women are protected, and they're not necessarily protected, but protected in prayer, because that's the most essential, that's the best thing that you could do to protect somebody. Granted, you could be vocal on the internet, you could be vocal with your voice, but we also there's more than one way that you could use your voice. Just in general, you think about using your voice, right? I could use my voice to talk on this live. I could use my voice to whisper. I could use my voice to sing off beat, sing on beat, whatever the case might be. I could use my voice in different ways. So again, I can use my voice to advocate for women as far as women empowerment.
Yes.
But also too, sis, how can I pray for you? Even not even somebody that's my spouse, but even just a woman who is going through something. Sis, how can I pray for you? How can I pray for your daughter? How can I pray for your home?
Yes.
And you'll be surprised what that does for them. That gives them hope. I have prayed for people who have responded to me that says, I've left prayer voice memos for people who have said, man, I've cried listening to that. Not even my spouse, but just the fact that I took the time, that I took a minute out of my day to pray for them is like, wow, man, that changed my entire day. Because again, they might have been feeling defeated.
Yes.
You pray for them. Now they're no longer feeling defeated. Now they're thinking, you know what? They're thinking prosperity.
Come on.
So again, we're talking about intimacy, vulnerability.
Yes.
Again, as men, we gotta be vulnerable. We gotta let go of this masculinity and thinking praying is not masculine. Now because again, say it again.
That's the most masculine thing you can.
That's the most masculine thing that we can do. That's the most masculine thing that we can do. But if we're too connected to the culture, that's the last thing that we're going to do. Even when it came down to everything that happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and people were protesting, don't get me wrong. You want to use your voice to peacefully protest, that's fine. But how often are you praying for change? Because again, protesting, rioting, whatever the case might be, yes, that is going to get their attention. But getting their attention is not changing their heart. So again, I understand we want the people, we want the officers who killed Breonna Taylor to be persecuted. I get that. They deserve a penalty. But are we praying for God to change their hearts so that there's not another Breonna Taylor?
Come on.
Right? Are we praying for the officers who killed George Floyd so that way I'm not a hashtag next year?
Come on.
Are we praying for God to change their hearts? Because again, culture, WAP is getting people's attention. But are you changing that man's heart? Because you can give him WAP, but that ain't changing his heart. That ain't making him vulnerable. That definitely ain't bringing him closer to Christ.
That can put him to sleep.
You know what I mean? Right? Right? So again, at the end of the day, are you praying?
Are you praying?
Are you praying? Are you praying? Are you praying?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing that just came to me. If we're gonna look at this WAP thing, this is for the ladies out there. Women always praying.
Here you go, just the cash.
What's the cash app? It has hashtag, no playing. But anyway, women always praying. It should be women always praying. You should always be praying for yourself.
No.
Hey, I might throw that on a shirt. But anyway, women always praying, because you should always be in prayer, not just for a man, but for your own vulnerability. Again, like I said, if you are not vulnerable with Christ, if you're not learning about the Father, then you ain't gonna have a good relationship with your father, your uncle, your spouse. I mean, especially your children.
Yes.
Because again, you got to train up a child in the way that he or she should go. And again, what happens is, if we don't break these generational curses, our sons and daughters are going to be going down the same exact path, not praying, thinking they can put WA on a man and think that's going to get his life together. The devil is a liar. That is not going to get a man's life together. That's going to really get him off track, because he ain't going to be praying, unless you repenting after, or whatever the case might be. But but again, I didn't say it again.
That's real talk right there.
So again, women always praying. Women, you should always be praying, not only us as men, but you should be praying for yourself. Praying, God, how can I get closer to you? How can I learn more about you? Can we learn? Are we trying to learn about God, or are we trying to earn blessings? Because I know so many influencers are talking about blessings. This is your season. Blessings. So we're seeking blessings, but versus learning lessons.
But not knowledge.
But that's what I'm saying. Are we seeking blessings, or are we learning lessons?
Come on.
And if you're seeking blessings from God, you definitely going to be seeking something from a man. So again, we got to be mindful of that. Learn, earn. That's the core of vulnerability.
Yes.
Learn, earn. Because again, somebody who's vulnerable is learning. Because again, here's the thing. When you go to God with vulnerability, you're learning about yourself. You're learning about who you are. You're learning the good things about you. And you're also learning the things that need to be changed. So vulnerability is ultimately learning. So if you're not vulnerable, you're keeping those things away so you can earn or attract something, right? So you're not vulnerable with your insecurities, because if you reveal your insecurities, I'm not going to get a man, or I'm not going to get a woman.
Yeah.
Now you're housing insecurities, and you're storing them in that corner room, and you're making sure that nobody goes to that corner room. But again, you're not going to get to a marriage, because a relationship, like I said, hey, you got to get rid of your insecurities, or you got to figure out your fears and your doubts and X, Y, and Z.
All right.
But two people that are destined to be married, let's sit on this couch. Where did this insecurity start? Like, where did this all start? Well, my dad left me at age 8. Okay, well, let me learn about how that made you feel.
Yes.
Let me learn about how that made you feel, because how you feel is how you think. Like you said, I'm thinking, hey, men always run out when time gets tough. But I'm here to show you another perspective that, hey, you know what? Me and you are in this together. We're in this together. Let's pray about this. Let's pray every single night about this. Let's read devotionals together. We're in this together. What can we do together to make this better? That's a marriage. Relationships and entanglements, they're not even going to touch that. Relationships can get close, maybe, but entanglements definitely ain't going to get there. That's on the WAP level. That's on the Netflix and chill level. That's no vulnerability zone. Hey, the most vulnerable you're going to get is seeing them with no clothes on. That's about it. Preach. But anyway, I'm going to leave that there. But again, if you want to be in a marriage, because again, the Bible honors marriage. The Bible doesn't say you're boo. It doesn't even mention nothing about a boyfriend, girlfriend in the Bible, not even a fiance. It mentions husband, wife.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get to that level, it gotta be biblical.
Gotta be.
It gotta be biblical. Because again, Proverbs 31 says that a wife is supposed to enrich her husband.
That's it.
Proverbs also mentions that it's better to sit on the corner of a roof than to live in a house with a nagging wife or spouse.
Yep.
So it's almost better for a man to sit on the corner of his roof than to be in a house with a nagging spouse. So again, like you said, that tone, you can't approach a man nagging and nitpicking and rah, 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 you know, no, that I'm not being vulnerable. You're yelling at me.
You're attacking.
You're attacking me. So why would I be vulnerable to somebody who's attacking me? Like you said, you're not going to be vulnerable with a snake. You're trying to attack me. I ain't about to be vulnerable. The devil is a liar. I'm whoa, right? So I'm on defense. But if you're approaching me, like you said, softness, meekness, humility, us, I'm here to help you. We're going to get through this together. A man that is whole is going to appreciate that. But a woman has to be in the right space to where it's not, I'm trying to get my point across. Because sometimes women, I'm listening to respond, I'm getting my point across, I'm going to be heard. Yeah. So you're trying to earn your respect versus learning about your spouse. So learn. Which you have to learn. If you learn, you're going to earn by default. But if you're trying to earn, you might get something from that man, but you're going to miss learning something about him. And then you wonder why the relationship only lasts 3 months.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking of this song that says, now come lay down the burdens that you have carried, for in the sanctuary, God is here. And as I thought of those words, as you were talking, that's how vulnerability, that's how the cultivating of the soil is done. You know, and I'll probably do a series for women on how softness is sensual.
Oh, please, you have to. That's essential. I mean, that's game changing. We're talking about men being vulnerable. You know, there is a responsibility as men that we have to take, absolutely. But I'm telling you, that 5 minutes was special. Like if you turn that into a series, like I said, if somebody rewinds and screens records that, I'm telling you, there are going to be a lot of women that are going to be like, Lauren, I found the one that God has for me, or he found me, and we're praying together. And I'm telling you, man, somebody's going to get married on this live because of that. I'm telling you, because that's a cheat code right there. But again, that's vulnerability.
Yes.
Vulnerability. You're sacrificed, you're open yourself to where this is no vulnerability. The thing about it is, it's not about you.
Oh. Or pointing fingers or being right.
No, yeah, exactly. Let me be vulnerable. Let me hear what you have to say without my own filter, without me trying to rebuttal or trying to say something to combat what you're saying. Let me just hear where you're coming from. Even if I don't agree where you're coming from, I at least want to hear where you're coming from.
Correct.
You know, I always tell my ex, like, I don't have to accept your truth, but I respect your truth. So even if you feel that hypothetically I'm cheating, I know I'm not doing that. Because again, in the past, I'm defending myself. I ain't cheating X, Y, and Z. But I grew to learn, well, let me hear why you feel this way.
Come on.
Why do you feel I'm cheating? Or why do you feel like you're not the one for me? Correct. Why do you feel that way? Well, it's because of
you didn't feel worthy.
Exactly. It could have been that, you know, and like I said, in a part of it could have been things that I could have done, but I also heard things and I'm like, there's some healing that wasn't done before us dating too. So it was a combination of the two. Yeah. So again, that's where it comes in to me. Like you don't have to always accept somebody's truth as your truth.
Correct.
Because somebody might say something that you don't agree with. Like somebody might say, I don't feel valued in this household. That is not the opportunity for you to say, why don't you feel valued? Now I'm on defense.
Because the question is, when do you feel them? So tell me, when do you feel the most valued? Or tell me, or
Very dig it.
us that struggle with, because I'm a visual. So sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
need a visual picture. So I'll say things like,
Mm-hmm.
tell me about an example of a time that you felt the most valued, whether it's in
Mm-hmm.
this relationship or another, right?
Right.
Because
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is for you, that goal is for you, that means anything that doesn't look like that may not appear in that category for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I may think you coming home to a clean house and a cooked meal means that you're valued, but that may not be valued. That may
Value. Mm-hmm.
book, and that may not be the most time that you felt that. I want to know, when was the time in your life that you felt the most valued?
That's
Because now
it.
I know where goal is. See, I gotta. You
That.
can't reach for
Mhm.
something and not know where it's at. You see what I'm saying?
That's the learning part. That's the learning part. You got
Yeah,
to learn, like you said. That's learning,
yeah,
right? That's learning versus earning. Because again, like you said, you could be cleaning a house and doing X, Y, and Z because you're trying to earn that
correct,
man's respect. So
correct.
when he doesn't feel value, now you're venting to your girlfriend. I cook, I clean, and I do this and I do that. You're trying to earn something from that man versus sitting down, like you said, what makes you feel valued? And again, once that person reveals that, you can either A, duplicate it or exceed it.
And if you're a real one, you're gonna exceed it.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to exceed it. Oh, that's when you felt value
Yeah,
when you came home and X, Y, and Z was done. I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, and I'm gonna do another letter in the alphabet.
that's what I'm trying.
Right? So you're going to
That's it.
that's that's it. So again, that's vulnerability because that man was vulnerable enough to you to share an intimate moment. This is where I felt the most
Yeah.
value. That's intimacy. That's me being vulnerable. Well, I felt most valued in a relationship when someone hypothetically had a conversation with me about my purpose
Mm,
or about where I want to go in life.
yeah.
That's where I felt valued when somebody supports my purpose. And that's how I truly feel. Somebody, if I'm going to date or be in a relationship with anyone, you have to genuinely support my purpose.
Mm.
Genuinely. Because if I have to ask you to do something pertaining to my purpose, that's a red flag and a mental note taken. If I have to, because if I have to ask you to tune into my live or
Correct.
share my live, mental note taken. That person is not engaged in my purpose. If I have to tell you to tune into my live, or if I have to beg you to buy a shirt versus you saying, hey, I want all of them.
Because you will invest in the things that you care about, and that goes for women and men.
Men as well, exactly. So again, that's for me. That's a part of it for me. So that's
That's
something that I pay attention to. So
yeah,
again, if somebody's not in tune, so again, you ask me how I feel valued, someone who values what God called me to do.
yeah.
Not even because there's a difference between appreciating it and valuing it.
Come
You can
on.
appreciate it. You can, oh, that's good job.
Yeah,
That's appreciating it. Valuing it is like you said, I'm investing in it.
yeah,
What can I do to contribute?
yeah.
What can I do to contribute to this? I'm going to share every live you post. I'm going to tell my friends about it. I'm going to buy as many shirts as I can buy, right? I'm going to give you different ideas. Maybe you should put this on the shirt, or maybe you should do hats, or maybe you should do pants, or investing in, to me, that's when I feel valued.
Yeah.
But somebody has to learn that about me because everybody that I've had conversation with doesn't get that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Everybody doesn't get that, right? Some people might ask questions about pastoral things and things along those lines, but not everybody gets that piece. A lot of people miss that piece, to be honest. And that's why I still sit here single to this day. A lot of people miss that piece about my purpose. They
Yeah,
might tap in on the surface, like, oh, I'm gonna tap in on the surface. Good job. I appreciate your purpose. I appreciate what you do.
yeah.
But so does everyone else who double taps my picture on Instagram. They appreciate what I do.
Come on.
So you're in that section. I shouldn't have a fan going harder for me than you. That's
Yeah.
when we talk about value. Yeah, I'm like, man, I got people that got every t-shirt and you don't got one. What's really going on?
What's really going on?
And somebody could say, well, that's petty, but that's how I feel valued. That's value in my purpose. That ain't petty. You should support, like they say, if your man wants to set up an ice cream stand, well, we're going to go get vanilla, strawberry. What flavors we going to get? I'm going to stand out there with you. I'm scooping ice cream and I'm putting them on ice cream cones. I don't care if you're selling for 50 cents a pop.
Come on.
I'm in the mud with you.
That's it.
That's it. That's value. I value what you're doing. I don't care if you're selling ice cream. I don't care if you're selling water with lemon in it.
And that tells a man, I believe in you. And so many of our men need to
Oh man.
hear
I mean, I'm telling you, that's
to stand
the big
with you, to do this with you, to not allow you to do it alone. You know what I'm saying? That is what, and men need that. Men need to hear, I believe in you. I saw a post earlier today and someone said, some guy was saying about how people didn't believe in him, but he ended up getting it anyway. And another guy commented and he said, I had so many people not believe in me. And I thought it was so sad that our Black men are posting about how someone that probably really meant a lot to him didn't believe in him.
Oh my gosh, it happens so much.
Didn't believe in him. And I'm not saying believe in stupid stuff like him selling weed. No.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah.
We're talking about
Logical, legal things. Yeah.
We're talking about believing in the vision that God has given him. We're talking about believing in that, in enough to not say that idea sounds stupid. Like, really?
Nah, and that's the thing. Yeah, like you said, I mean, there's so many of us that we come from this background of where people don't believe in us.
Yeah.
And, and to me, that's why sometimes I come from the projects, to where I'm being doubted from the beginning.
Correct.
Just because of the neighborhood that I live in. So again, it's important to have, that's why for me, I value that. Because again, if you're not pouring into me or telling me on a daily basis that I believe in you, then to me, that's a red flag. Because again, we have so many Black men, especially, like I said, I always feel like Black men is sad, but I feel we get the most love when somebody has their knee on our neck.
Facts.
Because again, since this whole George Floyd thing has died down some, I don't see the same energy for Black men back as it was back then. It's changed. It's still there. I'm not saying it's non-existent.
Correct.
But it's not the way that it was. So it's like, do I have to have somebody put their knee on my neck and I become a hashtag for my Black brothers to get love again? I mean, come on, seriously? Like, I don't want to be a hashtag.
Correct.
I don't want to be a sacrifice because Jesus already made the initial sacrifice. So why do we have to keep having Black men be sacrificed in order for us to be loved?
And
again, it goes
so much in y'all.
I'm telling you, there's a
y'all have so many treasures locked up. Like, seriously. And the reason it's so locked is because sometimes the hardness of a woman puts a padlock on the man's ability to open. Well, you talk about when a woman learns the key of how to open that lock.
Man,
The power of a Black man is, I mean, the treasure that's in him is infamous. It is.
I believe it wholeheartedly. I mean, like you said, it starts with the right woman, because that woman might be the one, even if that man has a purpose, and even if he interprets his purpose a certain way, and it comes out like, what the heck are you talking about? But the right woman is going to be like, this sounds good. If we tweak this a little bit, we got something. You know what I mean? It might just be something as silly as t-shirts. But it's like, man, if we tweak it and we get a nice logo, or you know what, I'm going to reach out to some graphic designers and get a logo, and we're going to make it, that's value. Like, man, this woman is willing to go pay and get a logo done for me and put them on t-shirts, and boom, now I got Carlton Speaks.
See?
All because somebody took the time to believe in me.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying. That's where value is to me. I mean, like I said, I don't know about any other brothers, but truly believing and what that meant, what God has called that man to do. I'm telling you, that's going to separate you from the city girls and everyone else.
Well, and then it cancels out you worrying about that. I always say, I
Mm-hmm.
don't compete where I don't compare.
Right, right.
And I
And the
know
thing about, yeah,
that compares to what I bring to the table. Literally.
right,
I truly
right.
that there is nothing that compares to what I bring to the table. So with that level of confidence, I'm not worried about the WAP and the city girls, because if anything, they need to be in my classroom getting this lesson. Learn,
Right, right.
learning how to truly undergirth it. Oh, Raymond says society has created the stigma that real men can't show an ounce of vulnerability. Correct, Raymond, and that was one of the
Yeah,
things
yeah,
we
yeah.
spoke to, and that is so not true.
Yeah. There's a big stigma. There's a big stigma. Like I said, it goes back to that masculinity piece.
Yes.
You being masculine is strong, right? You know what I mean? Even if you say someone looks masculine, it's that means strong.
Wrong features.
Strong features, yeah, right. I mean, if there's like a woman bodybuilder, oh, she looks too masculine, she's too muscular.
Correct. Correct.
So we associate masculinity with muscular features.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we think muscles, we think strong. So again, like you said, society has placed that stigma to where a man can't be vulnerable and open because, like I said, that's something that has been. We have to ultimately unlearn something that has been taught for centuries.
Yeah.
We have to realize. Okay, when did it really become okay for a man to be
Mm.
vulnerable?
Mm.
When did it really become acceptable for a man to become vulnerable? Say it
Tonight.
again.
Tonight.
Tonight, exactly. We think today is what August 13th, 2020 is when vulnerability became acceptable. So we got to figure how many days before that where vulnerability was not acceptable. It's like a man, like I said, has to hold it in. I got to be strong for my family. And like I said, that's something that my dad taught me. It's like even, walking around in certain neighborhoods, watch your back, somebody try to do something to you, you do this and you do that. And we're taught to be tough versus actually saying, you know what, hold, let me dial it back. Let me be vulnerable. Let me express how I truly feel. Even if it comes out messed up, that's where that meekness comes into play. Because a man might be expressing himself, even if he's yelling. But
Yes.
it might just be bent up frustration. Hey, for 30 years, I never got a chance to express myself. And
Yes.
this is the first time that I got a chance to actually express myself and say how I truly feel. And he might be yelling, but you got to be the one that says, you know what, I'm going to be meek on this one.
On.
Because again, it works the other way around. There's some times where women are going to vent because, like you said, you guys are emotional beings. Or
Yeah.
women are rah, 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 rah. And I've learned we can't both be rah, 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 rah. One person has to be rah, rah, and one person has to be, Dr. Phil. Okay, so what you're saying is boom, 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 boom. Like I said, in my last relationship, I don't have to accept your truth as being true, but let me hear what your truth is.
Yeah.
If you feel I'm not the one for you, if I feel you're cheating on me, if I feel like you don't respect me as a woman, well, let me hear where you're coming from to see what I can do as a man or to see what we can do to ensure that that doesn't happen going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Let me listen to you. Let
Mm-hmm.
me learn what you're saying. Let me learn what your truth is, even though if I don't accept it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, even like when we look at like Christianity and Jehovah Witnesses, what's the point of me arguing or going back and forth with a Jehovah Witness about this and this and this?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just listen to your truth.
Yeah.
You might reveal something to me that I might say, well, you know what? Hey, you know what, bro? That might actually be true.
Mm-hmm.
Even I might not believe in, hey, we don't celebrate holidays, X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's your truth. Let me hear why. Well, we believe X, Y, and Z. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to say, you know what? I'm not celebrating holidays either.
Right.
But at least let me hear what you got to say versus actually having a rebuttal. So that's what we got to learn. But the culture encourages rebuttal, argument, clap back. When it comes to shade room,
Come on.
it's like to get on a shade room, you got to almost be clapping back at somebody.
Yeah.
or doing something negative. You
Correct.
know what I mean? So again, that's what the culture encourages. Clap back. You know what I mean? I'm good, love, and joy. That's what the culture encourages. And you know I ain't lying,
You
Lord. You know I ain't lying.
boy, I got a whole t-shirt.
Right. I'm good, love, and joy. Right? That ain't learning a man. Because you
Yes.
just told me I'm good, love, and joy.
Mm,
So, I'm good. Now
mm.
ultimately some people, hey, if you moved on, you moved on.
Come on.
But not somebody in a relationship with just because you're man, it sounds cliche, the devil is a liar. Right? Or y'all arguing and it's like, all right, let me go put this whop on you. The devil is a liar. No, let me learn you. Let's learn, forget everything else, right? So again, that's true intimacy. Like I said, that closeness and that familiarity. And like I said, vulnerability is a result of either earn, learn. And like I said, society, we can't, it's Christ and culture. Like I said, that's why I always talk about every single live. There is a divide between Christ and the culture. If you feed into the culture, it's trendy. You're going to follow a trend. Whatever's trending, whatever song is trending, whatever meme is trending, that's what you're going to follow. But when you're in tune with Christ, you're going to want to learn about Christ.
Yes.
Or you're going to want to learn about the one who created you in his image.
Mm-hmm.
What did you create me to be? What did you put inside of me?
Yes.
What are you trying to reveal to me in this season? That's learning. Because when you learn, oh my gosh, when you sit at God's feet and you learn what he's trying to do in this season, you'll be surprised how many blessings you earn on the back end. Because you sat down at God's feet and said, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Forget blessings. Forget about me making six figures. Forget about me, buying a house or buying this and that. Let me sit at your feet and let me learn about what you put inside of me and what you're trying to do with me in this season.
Yeah.
And once God sees that, he knows he's gonna be able to be. You got to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to expose some things that you need to work on. You need to work on insecurities. You've been dealing with that for the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to realize that God is ultimately saying, you know what? Even if you have been insecure for 15 years,
you ain't got to stay there.
You ain't got to stay there, right? Just because you worked at a job for 15 years don't mean you got to retire there.
Yeah.
Just because you've been renting an apartment for 15 years don't mean you got to rent for another 15 years.
Come on.
You can say, you know what? I'm not renewing this lease. I'm going to go buy a home. Or even, be humble. You know what? I'm going to go figuratively stay with my mom until I get my credit and everything else together. I'm going to stay with somebody else until I get it together where I can manage a mortgage.
And get myself together.
And get yourself together. But so many people want to be homeowners. So many people want to have six-figure income. So many people want to be this and be that. Be humble. Like you said, be soft, be meek, be humble. Because God favors the humble.
Always has.
Always has. So if you being too proud, not saying you're not going to have favor, but you're delaying or you're interfering with your favor because you're being proud.
Yeah.
Because God can't give too much to somebody who's proud. Because now they're going to start shining and saying it's them. Now they getting the glory. Oh, I worked hard for this business. No, God got you right. And he aligned everything for you to get that business. That wasn't you.
Yeah.
I know you want the glory. I know you want the credit. I know you want to be on Shade Room. I know you want to be on BT and you want to be on the news. You want to get, 1K shares on Facebook, right? I understand. But can God get the glory? That's why God hasn't done some things in certain people's lives. Because he knows that he's not going to get the glory.
Nope.
And that's another message for another day. So, but again, at the end of the day, that's why God hasn't done certain things for certain people. Because he knows that he's not going to get the glory.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Look, I have enjoyed this night with you. My face hurts from smiling.
That's good, man. We have fun. We have fun, man. These are fun. These aren't meant to be super serious and we have a lot of fun.
Like the spa or something. This was so good. And for those of you who have shared our live, been leaving us comments, thank you so much. I dropped the link to purchase Intimacy, which is my second book. So if you guys have women, if you're trying to learn that man, you need to because also read Intimacy and and intimacy is definitely for men and women. So if you're trying to learn your spouse, you need to purchase intimacy before vulnerability drops. So Delisa said that book is everything. Thanks, Delisa. Yes. So I dropped the link. If you want to purchase, I dropped the link. Go ahead and purchase it. I promise you it's going to change the way you view your relationship. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. So, Carlton, I want to put you on the spot. If you're okay,
Yes.
I would like for you to close us out tonight in prayer. And I would
Okay.
like to pray for relationships. I would like
Hmm.
you to pray for understanding in our homes and
Hmm.
and just protection. I think that, it's one thing for us to talk about men praying, but it's another thing to hear a man of God
Okay. For
go
sure.
right here where we have all the eyes on us who have been with us for 2 hours tonight.
I know. I know. Thank y'all for
Really,
sticking with us. Thank
really,
y'all. I mean, to do so for 2 hours is amazing. So thank y'all for sticking with us. But
yeah.
tonight was good though. It didn't
It,
even feel like 2 hours.
and so I think I would be remiss if you
Hmm.
did not model the conversation that we spoke of tonight and
For
close it.
sure.
This may be the first time a woman hear a man pray. So women
Uh,
drop his cash app. Y'all so get your seed in the ground tonight.
For
So I will
sure, for
close
sure.
out.
I could definitely handle that. So thank y'all again for tuning in. Please again share the live. Someone needs to hear this message. Like I said, Lauren shared a lot tonight. I mean, I'm in awe of her tonight. What she shared. I mean, she shared so much. So I think for women, like, tune in, rewatch this, like, rewind it. I know it's 2 hours, but break it up. Like, this tonight was really, really good. And, make sure you get her book. Intimacy was really good. And I know vulnerability is even better.
Yeah.
But I will close us out tonight in prayer, and ultimately kind of pray over all of our homes here tonight.
Thank you.
No problem. Father, we say thank you, Lord, just for another day.
Mm-hmm.
We thank you for this live, Lord. We thank you for allowing everything to work itself out. No technical issues, no bad connections.
Yes.
We thank you, Lord. I thank you for Lauren, Lord. I thank you for aligning our path. I
Thank you.
thank you for everything that you placed inside of her, Lord. And just thank you for giving us this topic tonight of vulnerability. So I want to pray for relationships all over. So those who are in relationships, Lord, I just pray that you touch each person in the relationship, Lord. I pray that you open their minds, clear their hearts, Lord, and help them understand and become more vulnerable. I pray that you also help them create the space necessary for vulnerability, because vulnerability cannot happen in the wrong space.
Mm.
So I just pray that you place it on both hearts, Lord, to listen before speaking,
Yeah.
listen before responding,
Yes.
listening to learn and not listening to earn. So again, Lord, make each relationship represented on this live and anyone who tunes in, allow each relationship to put you first
Mm-hmm.
and their spouse after. Because when that happens, each person is put first in the relationship along with you. So I just pray, Lord, that again, this message is deposited into someone's heart. I pray that, someone is again blessed by this and that someone gained a better understanding of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
and vulnerability.
Yeah.
I pray also, too, that you help anyone on this live who has some things in their internal inventory that needs to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
because vulnerability does expose us, Lord, exposes us wide open to the flaws that we don't want no one to see, and flaws that we might have been hiding and bandaging up for years. So again, Lord, I just pray that you give us the comfortability to come to you first and be vulnerable
Yes.
and be willing to be open and stretched wide open, Lord. And also help us understand that you're not going to expose us to embarrass us,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to expose us to elevate us, because you see us, Lord. You created us in your image. So even if we develop something that goes against what you put in us at birth, that means that you have the ability to remove it. But again, we have to be transparent because you can't heal what we don't reveal. So I pray that you give everyone on this live confidence to reveal, be transparent, be open, be vulnerable.
Yes.
To actually say, God, where can I be better?
Yes, God.
How can I be a husband? How can I become a wife? Because again, becoming a husband and a wife happens well before the proposal.
Oh, yes.
Preparation for marriage it happens before the proposal, Lord. So I just pray that you prepare us all to be husbands and wives, and anyone that's on this live that is a husband or a wife, I pray that you help them become a better husband, a
Yeah.
better wife, believing in their spouse more, to implement and adopt what Lauren said on tonight, to approach with a soft voice and meekness and humility, and just again listening to learn and not listening to respond. So again, I just pray that again that we all deposit that on tonight, and I pray that you again keep a hedge of protection and covering over us, Lord, in the name of Jesus, and just make us better overall people as Black men and Black women, and just women and men overall. We are all kings and queens. So I just pray, Lord, that not only we carry ourselves as such, but I also pray that we treat each other in the same fashion. We love you, Lord. We thank you, Lord. We also ask for the forgiveness of our sins and our shortcomings, Lord. And we just ask for your love, your mercy, and your grace. We thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for this live. And we thank you for every opportunity that you give us to be better men and women, and ultimately to become husbands and wives. We love you and we thank you. And we count this prayer done in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for covering us on tonight. I just so led to ask you to pray for us tonight, and to allow the people that are listening to see a man lead first and foremost, and know to know what that feels like, and to know that that is a norm. That is a norm. That is,
Amen.
and so look, the people to feel out. They like, Lord, this is like it. Thank you guys so much. If y'all are not following Carlton on Instagram and Facebook, look, you need to follow him. I just ordered a shirt from him. Carlton, what does my shirt say again?
You lack nothing. Dear
You
Queen, you lack nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Tell us,
all the queens out there, say it again.
you have some shirts because you have some other
I
good.
do. I do have some shirts, yeah. CarltonSpeaks.com, or you can go to my Instagram, which is _ Carlton Speaks. Or my page on here is probably tagged with my name, Carlton Falconer Jr. But I have a lot of different shirts. It's all about empowering kings and queens to
Yes.
be better again. Just the message behind it. I always say it's more than a shirt. It's a reminder. It's a message. It's a message. So Lauren's shirt says, "You lack nothing," meaning that you do not lack anything. You were created in the image of God. One of my other shirts does say, "You are more than enough." So any woman out there who feels like they're not enough, because sometimes women have gone through relationships and gone through different things to where they feel less than adequate. But you were made in the image of God, and God would not make you in his image and leave something out. So again, if you want to get a shirt, get a reminder, even get it as a gift for somebody else,
Oh no,
feel free.
you have another one that's my favorite. Something
The
about
one, oh,
for a wife or something.
oh yeah, yeah. So the other one is there's a man praying for a woman like
That,
you.
that one.
So that
The men
they're all available.
I'll
I
bring
wear them.
like,
Honestly, I wear them. I rotate them. I rotate them all week long. Some people probably see me on a regular basis, probably think like, man, this guy's always wearing one of those shirts.
yeah.
But nah, I mean, there's a good message behind that as well, because there are men that are praying for women like you on this live, because we just talked about vulnerability. I know as a man of God, I'm praying for a woman that I can be vulnerable with, and also a woman who believes in me. So there are men that are praying for you. So don't get it twisted. I know you might have been in a single season for a decent period of time, but be mindful. There are still men that are praying for you. So If you would like to get a shirt, to support, or just even, like I said, just to remind yourself, the reminder is you can wear that shirt, look in the mirror, and remind yourself that there's a man praying for you. So carltonspeaks.com, or you can message me on here, or my Instagram is _CarltonSpeaks.
Yes, and I tagged him. So if you can't find him, he's already tagged on this video, so you will be able to find him. So thank you guys again for being here with us so freaking late tonight. We had an amazing time. And yes, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Carlton time. Carlton loves
Right.
11:21 his time. He's still up with me. So
We're kicking it.
yeah, we're kicking it. So we will definitely be back next Thursday. I don't know what the topic's gonna be, so don't ask me yet. But just have your clock set so you don't miss it.
Right.
We're gonna be talking about vulnerability. I know, because we're gonna be celebrating the launch of my book, the pre-order for my book that will be launching next month for the pre-order. So I know we're gonna be talking something around that, something heavy, something intimate, something that's gonna get you feeling good. Get you some soul food. So
right.
something in that arena. So anyway, we love you guys. Have an amazing night. Share our live, and I pray that you were blessed by something that was said on tonight. And go buy Intimacy. If you did nothing else, go buy Intimacy.
Right. Get Intimacy. Go get that thing.
So love you, and we will see you next week on purpose. Bye. Good night. Bye, Carl.
See you.